What's up guys, this is iEddy, welcome to a new video. Fire DPS, let's go. Alright, so first we are gonna look at the mid-range AoE loadout. Now we can go full range, but this loadout hits, way better when you are mid-range because of one power. So we're gonna get into that in a bit. So right now I am 291 CR, the new DLC just dropped and I'm still working on the gear. That's why you can see this all, rainbow colored gear. So 391 CR, my might is 177,616 because this is going to be a might based loadout, no weapons, so no precision. So looking at the gear mods, we are gonna use Supercharged New Venom Boost 3 for head socket, Escalating Might 5 for neck, Blast Adapter 5 for weapon, Berserker for back, Penetrating Strike for chest, Restorative Overheat for legs, Maximum Damage for hands. You can also use Empowered Channeling, but I prefer maximum damage. You just get 2% damage bonus out of that. And then Tumbling Master for feet, but you can also use Deadly Block or Explosive Block, whatever suits you. As far as the augments are concerned, we're going to be using might based augments in adaptive augments and also might implants in original augments. So make sure that you have maxed them out. For base mods, we're gonna use might and power. And for the allies, we're gonna be using Professor Zoom, or you can use Death Metal Batman or whatever you want. Just pick one combat ally which does AoE damage. So I like to use Professor Zoom, you can use whatever you want. For support ally, number 1, Batman Who Laughs. Very, very important. Make sure you have clicked on the number 1 power, which is going to be the luck of the draw. So basically you will get a random card from the Batman Who Laughs deck and it will grant you some extra precision or might or critical attack chance. Number 2 is Batman. So support ally, the original Batman, and you're also going to be using number 1 from this. This is basically gives you increased might and precision for first 6 hits of your damage and then refreshes at 100 counter. So whenever you hit 100 counter damage, hit counter, it will refresh and it will grant you again some extra might and precision. So works really well. You can also use Superman. So if you use Superman, you go for this number 2 support ability, which will basically the channel abilities are immune to interrupt and give bonuses. So whenever you're using powers which are channeled powers and they're vulnerable to interrupt, you won't get interrupted basically if you use Superman. So you can use Superman as well, but I just like to play safe and don't get interrupted that much, so just use Batman. So these are the allies. Now we're gonna go and look at the artifacts. So I'm using artifacts, Transformation card, Strategist card, and Quizlet. So Transformation card, as always, maxed out to 200 rank, gives you 3% might and it gives you 20% critical chance and 30% critical magnitude on your attacks. Really, really helpful for DPS. Then Strategist card, it gives you 4% might and it applies a damage over time for 8 seconds. And also if you have it on 200, it doubles the proc chance of tactical advantage, increases the potency of tactical advantage by 30%. That means the damage applied over time will do more damage. So make sure you have it on rank 200. So when combined together, they do a great damage. Third one is Quizlet. Quizlet is basically your pet. It gives you 3% might if you have it on. So whenever you use a superpower, Quizlet will cast a powerful attack that hits up to 8 targets within a 5-second internal cooldown. So every 5 seconds, you're using your, you're already using your superpowers, you're doing the loadout. So every 5 seconds, it will hit up to 8 targets and do a powerful attack. And also, if you have it on rank 200, it will also give you 1% supercharge every time you use it. And also, when you use a supercharge, Quizlet will release a powerful attack. So most of the time we're using 5000 cost supercharge, let's say like New Venom Boost. So whenever you do that, it will deal a medium damage towards your primary target and hitting up to 7 additional targets. And if you're using 10,000 cost supercharge, it will do high level of damage, which we are not going to use it. So anyways, let's move on and look at the skill punch allocation. So for weapons, I am using rifle for AoE because of the grenade range attack. So I just like to tap my range attack in between my powers whenever I'm using, doing the rotation. So 1 in rifle, then under super speed, flight, acrobat, whatever, you can get this. And if you have extra skill points, get these. This will give you some, impulse resistance, root resistance. So get these. And then under iconic powers, we are gonna go for Robot Sidekick and New Venom Boost. Word of Power, I'm still, debating on it. It gives you some critical chance, increase. Let me go scroll down. Critical damage and increase critical chance. So it's debatable. But yeah, New Venom Boost works better at the moment. And then stat points, what we're going to do is we're going to go for Super Power. It will give you 10% extra might, 10% power. Then you're gonna get critical attack chance, everything in here, then critical attack damage, everything in here, and then put every other skill point in might and power. Max this out. So then if you have extra skill points, you're gonna be putting that in precision, because we are gonna be using rifle grenade in between our loadout. So we need that precision damage. So we're gonna get that. Let me just put it here. I like to save one, skill points just in case. So this is the skill point allocation. Now let's go and look at the loadout. Alright, so this is the loadout. The first one is Inferno. Inferno has 12-second cooldown, power cost 300. This is basically an AoE damage pool, and it will do damage over time to the enemies, and it also applies the power interaction, which burns the enemy because it's fire. So it burns the enemy, does damage over time, and stays on for around 10 seconds. So cooldown is 12 seconds. Number 2 is Fireburst. Fireburst is one of the most heavy hitter power in the game. So but it's very slow, but it's worth it. So power costs 400, cooldown 4 seconds, and if the enemies are burning, which they're gonna be burning from Inferno, they're gonna take additional damage. So it's kind of slow, so you have to time it properly. You need to practice when to use it and how to use it, how much distance you need it to be, because this is vulnerable unless you're using Empowered Channeling mod in hands, or if you're using Superman. Number 3, Wildfire. Amazing burst damage. Cooldown 3 seconds, power cost 300, burning damage. Burning enemies take additional damage. So use this as soon as you hit Fireburst. You use Wildfire and it will do additional damage. Do a great burst damage, and if you crit, it can crit up to 300k. So really cool. Number 4 is Flame Cascade. Flame Cascade is also AoE. It doesn't hit that much. It has no cooldown. You can just literally spam it again and again and again. It's a decent hitting power, but we are basically using it as a filler power. So when you combine Flame Cascade with these 3 powers, it does good damage. You have an overall a great damage, great loadout. And number 5 is Robot Sidekick, as usual, just a pet which will do additional damage on the side. Number 6 is New Venom Boost. It's gonna be a supercharge, 5000 supercharge cost, cooldown 45 seconds. It basically increases your damage output by 40% for a short period of time. Now you can use Volcanic Calamity for AoE damage, but it's 10,000 supercharge cost, so the other supercharges are not worth it, to be honest. But this one hits really cool, but 10,000 supercharge cost unless you're running with 2 EOG healers, it's not worth it. So New Venom Boost is the way to go. You can also use Meteor Strike instead of Inferno, but I like to use Inferno because it hits harder, it triggers the strategist card, and just works great overall. But Meteor Strike is okay. It generates a supercharge, so you can do additional damage with a supercharge, but the damage from Meteor Strike is just not that great. It's just like 30ks or 20ks, 15ks. So go with Inferno and it works. So now let's go to Sparring Tigers and look at the numbers. Alright, so here are the numbers. As you can see, we started with 192, 197, which is okay, not bad for fire. And then massive 241k per second. And then 206, 221, 204, 229. So it all depends on where you are. If you're this is unbuffed right now. So if you are buffed, you have a troller buffing you, you are using compound omega, you're using nitros, this damage is only gonna go up, and position yourself right, you're gonna hit a lot harder. So this is it for the AoE loadout. Let's move on to single target loadout. Alright, so for single target loadout, same as before, my CR is 391, but my might has increased a little bit, 179 now, because I am using a different artifact. So gear mods are same, augments are same, and allies are a little bit different. So ally, we are going to be using Crypto instead of Zoom. You can also use House of Legends bot. Crypto and House of Legends bot do great single target damage for the boss fights, so use this. And back to this, 179. Okay, so we are using Transformation card, Strategist card, and Grimorium now instead of Quizlet. Why Grimorium? Because Grimorium has a little bit better damage as single target damage instead of Quizlet. So, and also it gives you 4% might instead of compared to 3% might with Quizlet. So what it does is it basically applies the power interaction, and as you can see over here, and that fire, for fire it burns the enemy. So it's gonna apply the power interaction for you, and then it's gonna be fighting by your side, doing some extra damage. So win-win. And the other two are same. So looking at the skill points allocation, I'm still using rifle because of the grenade. I love it, and because most of the fights nowadays have ads. Even when you're fighting boss fight, there are gonna be ads for the end game contact. So rifle works really well. It hits basically all the enemies. Under super speed, flight, acrobat, just use the unlock this, and if you have skill points, get these. Under iconic power, same as before, robot sidekick, new one and boost. Under stat points, same as before, super power, critical attack chance, critical attack damage, might and power, and then put everything extra in precision. So there you have it. Now looking at the loadout, this is it. Great loadout, I'm telling you right now. No heat vision, no solar amplifier, no iconic powers like like I know robot psychic and new and boosted iconic power, but I mean in the loadout, and no movement mode powers. So this is pure fire loadout, and it's actually really good. So number one is overheat. Overheat is 300 power cost, 12-second cooldown. You can also use Inferno instead of it, but overheat works really well for single target. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna put, basically you're gonna be throwing a fireball on your target, and your target's gonna burn, right? So when it's burning, enemies nearby your target are gonna take damage over time too. So it's a damage over time power, really well. Burning enemies take additional damage, so you are using Grimorium, which is gonna apply the power interaction burning. So they're already gonna be burning, so it's gonna do additional damage when they're burning. Number two is your main single target power, Absorb Heat. It's vulnerable to interrupt, it's a channeling power. You can move around when you're using it, and but still you will be stuck in the animation for a few seconds, but does great damage. It takes for like 70s to 80Ks without critting, but when you're critting you can go up to like 150Ks per tick. So Absorb Heat must have. Number three is Wildfire. As I told you before, burning enemies take additional damage. Great burst power. After using this, you can use this, and if there are any ads, really helpful. Number four is Snuff Out. This is your finisher. Same as before, it's also vulnerable to interrupt, so make sure you have in power channeling mod or Superman, or just be safe and position yourself right. You won't need those. So it's gonna do additional damage if the target is below 35% health, and it's also a channeling power, but way shorter than Absorb It. Number 5, Robot Sidekick. Number 6, New and Boost. So this is the single target, pure single target loadout. So what I like to do is when there are boss fights, where there are ads, I like to put Fire Burst instead of Robot Sidekick. So Fire Burst also works good for single target as well, but I will still continue my rotation 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. But when the ads show up, I go with number 5, number Overheat, Wildfire, and in between I do Snuff Out, and then go back to Fire Burst. So this works really well, but right now we are going to be using pure single target. So let's go and try it out on Sparring Time. So there we have it. So we started with 119, almost 120k per second, went down to 100, went down to 97 because we only hit 23% crit, 30% crit. So then 121k per second, then 101k per second, then again 120k per second, and then 141k per second for single target unbuffed with fire, no super heat vision, no solar amplifier. It's great. Keep in mind that that 141 was below 35%, so that was snuff out working its magic. So this is basically it for fire. Try my loadout. I'm telling you right now, there's no heat vision, there's no movement mode powers, there's only 2 iconic powers which are must. But anyways, try it out. I'm telling you, 99% of the times, if you follow my loadout, my setup and everything to the point, you are gonna be top DPS 99% of the time. And other than the fact that if there's any electric precision or garage precision, it's kind of a little bit difficult to beat precision DPSs, but still it's there. You will win most of the times, and main factor is to help out your groups kill stuff faster, so you are gonna do that with this loadout. Other than that, if you're wondering why there is no melee loadout, well, there are only 2 powers, flashpoint and backdraft. So I don't want to just create the whole loadout with 2 powers in mind. Mid-range AoE works way better than the melee one, so just stick with mid-range AoE and you're gonna be fine. And just buff yourself up, use your supercharges, use everything you got. Don't let them stay on cooldown for so long. So henchmen, orbitals, supply drops, allies, everything, and position yourself right. Try not to get countered and stuff like that. If you have any questions, just comment down in the comment section below and I'll get back to you. And I'll see you guys next time.